Picture this scenario, because it is a financial decision we have all been told is obvious, likely without realizing we were being sold a narrative that benefits everyone except us. You start a new job. You're sitting in the HR orientation on your first day. The benefits coordinator, a cheerful woman with a PowerPoint presentation from 2009, gets to the retirement section. She says, "We offer a 401k with a company match. We'll match 100% of your contributions up to 6% of your salary. That's free money. You should definitely take advantage of it." Everyone in the room nods. Of course, free money. Who would say no to free money? So you sign up. You contribute 6% of your paycheck to get the full match. The company adds their 6%. You're getting a 100% instant return on your investment. That's better than any stock, any bond, any real estate deal. It's the best financial decision you can make, right? Fast forward 5 years. You've been contributing diligently. Your account has grown to $45,000. You feel responsible. You feel like you're doing the right thing. Then life happens. Your car breaks down and needs a $3,500 repair. You don't have $3,500 in your emergency fund because you've been putting that money into your 401k to get the match. So you put the repair on a credit card at 22% interest. Or maybe your kid needs braces and that's $6,000. You don't have it, so you finance it at 15% through the orthodontist. Or maybe you want to start a side business, something that could actually change your financial trajectory, but you don't have the capital because it's all locked in your 401k where you can't touch it without paying taxes and a 10% penalty. You start to realize something that nobody told you in that HR orientation. That free money isn't actually free. It came with handcuffs. You traded liquidity, flexibility, and control for a company match. You locked your money in a cage until you're 59 and a half years old. And now, when you actually need money, when life is happening in real time, you're broke. You have $45,000 in a retirement account you can't access and $0 in a bank account you can access. You've got wealth on paper and poverty in reality. This is what I call the employer match trap, and it is one of the most successful pieces of financial propaganda in American history. It has convinced millions of people to prioritize a retirement account they can't touch for 30 to 40 years over building actual accessible wealth that could improve their lives right now. And here's the most insidious part. The people telling you to max out your employer match, the financial advisors, the HR departments, the personal finance gurus, they all benefit from you locking your money away. You're the only one who doesn't. My name is John, and I spent way too much time thinking about retirement account mechanics, the history of the 401k system, and the corporate incentive structures that keep you poor while making you feel responsible. If you are someone who's been contributing to a 401k to get the match while simultaneously going into debt for basic life expenses, or if you've ever wondered why you feel broke even though you have money in retirement accounts, or if you've been told to prioritize retirement savings over everything else and it's starting to feel wrong, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. Because today, we're not talking about investment returns or tax advantages. We're talking about why the employer match is not free money, why prioritizing it over liquid savings is destroying your financial flexibility, and what you should actually do instead if you want to build real wealth instead of just retirement account balances. Let's start with the fundamental lie at the center of this entire system, the idea that the employer match is free money. It's not. Nothing is free. Ever. In economics, there's no such thing as a free lunch. Every benefit comes with a cost. The question is whether the benefit exceeds the cost. And for many people, especially younger people and people without significant emergency savings, the cost of the employer match exceeds the benefit. Here's what the employer match actually is. It's deferred compensation. It's part of your total compensation package that the company is offering you in a form that benefits them more than it benefits you. When a company offers a 6% match, they're not being generous. They're not giving you free money out of the kindness of their hearts. They're structuring your compensation in a way that locks you into staying with the company, prevents you from accessing your full earnings, and shifts the retirement burden from them to you. Let's break down the true costs of the employer match that nobody talks about. Cost number 1, vesting schedules. In many companies, the employer match isn't actually yours immediately. It vests over time, typically 3 to 6 years. If you leave the company before you're fully vested, you forfeit some or all of the match. So that free money was never really yours. It was a retention tool. It was golden handcuffs designed to keep you at a job you might hate for years longer than you otherwise would stay, just so you don't lose that match. I've seen people stay at toxic jobs, jobs that were destroying their mental health, jobs where they were underpaid and undervalued because they were 2 years away from being fully vested and didn't want to lose $15,000 in employer contributions. They stayed in a bad situation for $15,000 that they can't even access for another 30 years. That's not free money, that's a trap. Cost number 2, opportunity cost. Every dollar you put into your 401k to get the match is a dollar you're not putting toward high-interest debt, toward an emergency fund, toward investment opportunities outside of retirement accounts, or toward building a business. Let's say you're contributing $400 a month to get a $400 match. That's $800 a month going into your 401k, but you also have $15,000 in credit card debt at 24% interest. You're paying $3,600 a year in interest on that debt, while simultaneously putting $9,600 a year into a retirement account that's earning maybe 7% on average. You're losing 24% on one hand and gaining 7% on the other. That's a net loss of 17% on your money. But you keep doing it because you've been told never to leave the employer match on the table. You've been told it's a 100% instant return. But that 100% return is inside a retirement account that doesn't help you pay off the debt that's crushing you right now. The employer match isn't free money. It's expensive money because of what you're giving up to get it. Cost number 3, liquidity loss. This is the big one that destroys people. Money in a 401k is not accessible. Sure, you can take a loan against it in some cases, but that comes with restrictions and risks. If you leave your job, the loan becomes due immediately. If you can't pay it back, it's treated as a withdrawal, and you get hit with taxes and penalties, and not all plans even allow loans. Or you can do a hardship withdrawal, but that requires proving hardship, paying income taxes on the withdrawal, and paying a 10% penalty if you're under 59.5. So if you need $10,000, you actually need to withdraw around $14,000 to end up with $10,000 after taxes and penalties. And you just permanently reduced your retirement savings by $14,000 plus all the future growth on that money. When you contribute to a 401k, you're making a bet that you won't need that money for 30 to 40 years. But life doesn't work that way. Emergencies happen, opportunities happen, health crises happen. If you've locked all your money in retirement accounts chasing employer matches, you have no flexibility. You're forced to go into debt, to turn down opportunities, to make suboptimal financial decisions because you have no liquid capital. Cost number 4, investment limitations. Your 401k has limited investment options chosen by your employer and the plan administrator. You typically get 10 to 20 mutual funds to choose from, most of which are mediocre at best and have high expense ratios that eat into your returns. You can't invest in individual stocks, real estate, cryptocurrency, private businesses, or any alternative investments. You're stuck with whatever options your employer provides. If you had that money in a taxable brokerage account or in cash, you could invest in anything. You could buy rental properties. You could invest in a friend's business. You could take advantage of a market crash by buying individual stocks at a discount. But you can't because your money is locked in a 401k with limited options because you are chasing the employer match. Cost number 5, tax uncertainty. The 401k is tax deferred, not tax free. You're getting a tax deduction now, which feels good, but you're going to pay taxes later when you withdraw the money in retirement. And here's the gamble. You're betting that your tax rate in retirement will be lower than your tax rate now. For many people, especially people who build wealth successfully, that bet is wrong. They end up in the same or a higher tax bracket in retirement, which means the tax deferral didn't actually save them anything. In some cases, it cost them money. And there's an even bigger risk. Tax rates themselves could go up. The current federal debt is over $36 trillion. Social Security and Medicare are underfunded. The government is going to need revenue. Where do you think they're going to get it? There's over $7 trillion sitting in 401ks and IRAs. That's a giant piggy bank that the government can tax whenever they want. You've locked your money in a structure where the government controls the tax rate on the back end. That's not free money. That's a future liability. Now let's talk about who actually benefits from the employer match system, because it's not you. The employer benefits because the 401k system shifted the retirement burden from them to you. 50 years ago, companies offered pensions. They were responsible for funding your retirement. They bore the investment risk. They guaranteed you a specific income in retirement. Then, in 1978, the IRS created Section 401k of the tax code, and companies saw an opportunity. They could eliminate expensive pension obligations and replace them with 401k contributions that cost them less and shifted all the risk to employees. The employer match is the carrot they use to make you accept this objectively worse deal. A 6% employer match sounds generous until you realize that a traditional pension would have cost the company 15 to 20% of your salary to fund properly. They're saving massive amounts of money by offering you a match instead of a pension, and you think you're getting a deal.
The financial services industry benefits because every dollar you contribute to a 401k is a dollar they can charge management fees on. The mutual funds in your 401k charge expense ratios, typically 0.5% to 1.5% annually. The plan administrator charges fees. The record keeper charges fees. You're probably paying 1 to 2% of your account balance every single year in various fees, and most people have no idea because the fees are buried in disclosures nobody reads. Over 30 years, those fees will eat 30 to 40% of your returns. That free employer match gets significantly less free when you realize you're paying thousands of dollars in fees over your lifetime to access it. The government benefits because they get to collect taxes on the back end when you're old and have no ability to earn more income to offset the tax hit. They give you a tax deduction now when you're working and can absorb it, and they collect taxes later when you're retired and that tax bill hurts more. Plus, they've created a system where trillions of dollars are locked in accounts that can't be easily accessed, which makes the population less mobile, less able to take risks, and more dependent on the system. It's a form of financial control. So the employer wins, the financial industry wins, the government wins. Who loses? You do. You're the one with no liquidity. You're the one paying the fees. You're the one bearing the investment risk. You're the one who can't access your own money. But you've been convinced this is a good deal because of the word free. Let me give you a real-world example of how this plays out. Meet Jennifer. She's 32 years old, makes $65,000 a year, and contributes 6% to her 401k to get the full employer match. That's $325 a month from her, $325 from the employer, total of $650 a month going into her retirement account. Over 5 years, she's accumulated $42,000 in her 401k. She feels responsible. She feels like she's securing her future. But Jennifer also has $18,000 in credit card debt at 21% interest, $35,000 in student loans at 6% interest, and $800 in her emergency fund. Her car is 12 years old and probably has 2 years left before it dies. She's one unexpected expense away from financial disaster. But she keeps contributing to her 401k because she's been told it's the smartest thing she can do. Then her car dies. She needs a replacement. She doesn't have cash, so she finances a used car at 9% interest for $18,000. Now she has car payments on top of her credit card payments, on top of her student loan payments. She's drowning in debt, stressed constantly about money, but she has $42,000 in a retirement account she can't touch. Now let's rewind and imagine Jennifer made a different choice. Instead of contributing 6% to her 401k, she contributes 0%. She takes that $325 a month and puts it toward her credit card debt. In 14 months, her credit cards are paid off. Then she takes that $325 a month plus the $350 she was paying toward credit cards and puts it toward her emergency fund. In 6 months, she has $4,000 in savings. Then her car dies. She uses her $4,000 as a down payment and finances $14,000 at a much better rate because her credit cards are paid off and her credit score improved. Her payment is manageable.
She didn't get the employer match. She left money on the table, according to conventional wisdom. But she's in a dramatically better financial position. She has no credit card debt, a solid emergency fund, a reliable car, and significantly less financial stress. The employer match would have given her a few thousand more dollars in a retirement account she can't access for 30 years. The alternative gave her financial stability right now. Which scenario is actually better? The conventional wisdom says the first one. She got the match, she's securing her future, but she's broke and stressed in the present. I'm telling you the second scenario is objectively better. A person with no consumer debt, a solid emergency fund, and financial flexibility is wealthier than a person with a bigger retirement account and a pile of high-interest debt. Wealth is not just net worth. Wealth is liquidity, flexibility, and the absence of financial stress. So what should you actually do instead? Should you never contribute to a 401k? Should you ignore the employer match entirely? Here's my framework, and this is going to be controversial, but it's based on math and real-world outcomes, not on what the financial industry wants you to believe. Step 1. Build a $2,000 starter emergency fund before you contribute anything to retirement. I don't care if you're leaving the match on the table. You need a small cushion to handle minor emergencies without going into debt. This takes most people 2 to 4 months if they're focused. Get this done first. Step 2. Pay off all high-interest debt, which I define as anything over 8% interest. This means credit cards, payday loans, title loans, personal loans with high rates. If you're paying 18% interest on debt, getting a 100% match on contributions that then earn 7% inside a retirement account is not a good deal. You're still losing. Pay off the debt first. Step 3. Build a full emergency fund of 3 to 6 months of expenses. This is non-negotiable. You need liquidity. You need cash that you can access immediately if you lose your job, if you have a medical emergency, if your car dies, if your roof starts leaking. This money should be in a high-yield savings account, completely accessible, no restrictions. For most people, this is $10,000 to $25,000. Yes, that takes time. Yes, you're leaving the match on the table while you do this. Do it anyway. Step 4, and only now, once you have no high-interest debt and a full emergency fund, start contributing to your 401k to get the employer match. At this point, the match is actually valuable because you have a financial foundation, you have liquidity, you have flexibility. The match is now bonus money that you're adding on top of a solid base, not a Band-Aid you're putting on a broken financial situation. Step 5. After you're getting the full match, focus on investing outside of retirement accounts. Max out a Roth IRA if you qualify. Invest in a taxable brokerage account. Save for a down payment on rental property. Build wealth that you can access before age 59 and a half. Don't put every dollar into retirement accounts just because of tax advantages. Tax advantages don't matter if you're broke and need money at age 45. I know this framework contradicts everything you've been told. Every financial advisor, every personal finance book, every HR orientation says to get the match first, always, no matter what. But those sources have conflicts of interest. They want your money locked in the system. They're not optimizing for your financial flexibility and life satisfaction. They're optimizing for assets under management and future tax revenue. Let me address the most common objections to this approach. Objection 1. But the employer match is a 100% instant return. That's impossible to beat. Yes, it's a 100% return on paper, but it's locked away for decades. If getting that return requires you to go into debt at 20% interest to cover basic expenses, you're not actually getting a 100% return. You're getting a negative return in net. A 100% return that you can't access is worth less than a 50% return that you can access, especially when you're young and need capital. Objection 2. But I'll never save for retirement if I don't do it automatically through my paycheck. This is a psychological argument, not a financial one. If you're the type of person who can't save unless it's automated and you never see the money, then sure, automate your savings, but automate it into an accessible account first, not a retirement account. Set up an automatic transfer to a savings account or a brokerage account. You can automate savings without locking it in a 401k. Objection 3. but the tax deduction saves me money. The tax deduction on traditional 401k contributions saves you your marginal tax rate now, but you pay tax on the entire amount later, including the growth. For many people, especially people in the 22% or 24% tax bracket, the tax benefit is minimal and potentially negative if tax rates increase in the future. And if you're in the 12% bracket or lower, the tax benefit is negligible. You're not optimizing for taxes, you're optimizing for liquidity and flexibility. Objection 4. But if I don't get the match, I'm leaving free money on the table. You're only leaving it on the table temporarily while you build your financial foundation. Once you have an emergency fund and no high-interest debt, you can start getting the match. And frankly, if getting the match requires you to sacrifice financial stability in your 30s and 40s, it's not worth it. Your life is not just about retirement. Your life is also about now. The employer match is a tool. Like any tool, it can be useful in the right context and harmful in the wrong context. For someone with no debt, a solid emergency fund, and stable finances, the employer match is great. It's truly additional free money on top of a solid foundation. But for someone with credit card debt, no emergency fund, and no liquidity, the employer match is a trap. It's a shiny object that distracts you from the fundamental work of building financial stability. The financial industry has successfully convinced millions of people that retirement accounts are the foundation of wealth building. They're not. The foundation of wealth building is cash flow management, debt elimination, emergency reserves, and income growth. Retirement accounts are the roof. You can't build the roof before you build the foundation. But that's exactly what we're telling people to do when we say, always get the match no matter what.
Here's the truth that nobody in the financial industry wants you to understand. They need you to lock your money in retirement accounts because that's how they make money. The longer your money is locked in the system, the more fees they collect, the more tax revenue the government eventually gets, and the more dependent you become on their advice and their products. Your financial flexibility is a threat to their business model. They want you to have a big retirement account balance and no accessible cash, because that makes you a customer for life. I want you to have accessible cash, no debt, and financial options. That makes you independent. That makes you powerful. That makes you able to take risks, pursue opportunities, and weather storms. A person with $50,000 in accessible savings is more financially secure than a person with $100,000 in a 401k and $20,000 in credit card debt, even though the net worth is the same on paper. If this video made you realize you've been prioritizing retirement accounts over financial stability, if you suddenly understand why you feel broke despite having money in your 401k, share it with someone who's contributing to get the match while simultaneously drowning in debt. We need to change the conversation about retirement savings and wealth building in this country. Thanks for watching The Penny Plan, and I'll see you in the next one.